rather have one form or the other. So you may want to change at some time, and now, it didn't used to be so easy, but now it's really simply filing a few things. There may be some horrendous tax issues when you make the change, but talk to your accountant about that, and they'll be able to tell you what kinds of things you would have to do in order to do that. And it's relatively, it's really not that expensive as far as keeping it up. I think one of the things it does is it compartmentalizes what you're doing versus what you're doing yourself, or you're doing in another company, or or for one reason or another you want to keep things separate. You can keep things separate if you have these different entities. If you're getting, if there's a lawsuit, for the most, there may be reasons why you're getting sued, but they're probably not going to be the kinds of reasons that, people aren't slipping and falling. If you have a gallery, that's something else. But if you're an artist, if you're going to be sued, it's probably not going to offer you that much protection. And if you have a business, if you have a gallery, probably insurance is going to cover the liability more than anything. So but a sole proprietorship probably is what a lot of you would have at the beginning until you get started, and then you want to form one of these entities if you're an artist and dealing with galleries. And it also gives you it sounds a little more professional if you're dealing as a corporation or an LLC or something. Although you don't have to put, like I see some people put on their storefront or wherever they are, the incorporated or LLC. You don't really have to do that. You could just put the name up of the company. You don't have to put that up. Form a DBA and doing business as, and you can do that without having to use LLC or even under stationery or bank. Yeah.
What would be some benchmarks that you want to change from sole proprietorship into LLC?
When should you do it?
Yeah.
Probably about 20 minutes after you start selling records. No, I think that if you're going to be doing it and you want to be serious about it and you're doing it as a business, you're probably going to be better off setting up some sort of entity. Just because I think it helps you to put things properly when you're doing it. You want to separate it. Look, if you're just doing something out of your house and that's all, it probably isn't going to make any difference. You're going to be able to do anything as a sole proprietorship than as a limited liability company. But it is very important. I'll tell you one thing. I'm involved with a group that teaches entrepreneurship in the public schools, and they give these business plans. We have business plan contests, and we always have the same format that they use every time. And one of the things they have to do is to talk about why how they're setting themselves up to go in business. And it's really cute when you see them, because they have these little canned speeches about why they're a sole proprietorship, or why they're a limited liability company, or why they're a corporation. And most of the times they have the wrong reasons why they're doing it, but it's very, very cute to see and interesting to see why they're doing it, why they're doing this. What other questions do you have on the type of entity that we have? Because it's very important to set yourselves up properly at the beginning. And like I say, I think it gives you a little bit more professionalism, and image, of course, is very important, as we all know. But I think it gives you a little bit more image when you're dealing with galleries, or if you're a gallery and you're dealing with artists, if you set yourself up as an entity. There's probably no reason to set yourself up in any entity other than a Florida company. I mean, you'll hear people say that they want to, and I can set them up in any state and have, they'll say, oh, we have to have a Delaware company, or we have to have a Nevada company. Unless you're dealing a lot maybe with foreigners and you really feel that you have to have a Delaware company for no other reason than my mommy always told me that I can only deal with Delaware companies, you really don't have any reason to set up anything other than a Florida company. Because if you're going to set up a company out of state, say in Delaware, you're still going to have to register the company here in Florida if you're doing business here in Florida. So every year you're going to be paying a couple fees to both states to be able to do it. I can tell you stories about people, why they wanted to set up companies in particularly Delaware, because, you know, as we say, I'm not talking about artists, but we joke about it. We say it's usually the talk around the condominium swimming pool. These people get together and they say, well, we have to form a U.S. company, and what kind of company do you want to set? Well, we have to form a Delaware company. Why? Well, a Delaware company is tax-free. So, I had this situation, and I said to him, why do you think the Delaware company is tax-free? Well, we saw it on the website. So I said, well, come to the website that says that the Delaware company is tax-free. So they gave me the website. We went on the website, and I was looking at this thing. And indeed, if you do form it in Delaware, there's no income tax in Delaware. So to that extent, it is tax-free. But what they don't tell you is you still have to pay Uncle Sam. You still have to pay the IRS. So these people would get lured into forming a Delaware company, and they would do it because they thought it was tax-free for some reason. And there's really no reason to do it. So most of the time you can form a Florida company if you're going to stay in Florida, and there's no reason to set it up anyplace else. Yeah.
What are the steps of setting up the company?
The basic steps are you're filing a document with the Secretary of State of the state of Florida. And with a corporation, you're setting up, you're filing articles of incorporation. With a limited liability company, you're setting up just articles of organization. And if you can do that, and you can be a corporation. That's really the easy part. Filing something with the state of Florida, and you can have the articles of incorporation, for example, can be very, very simple. I've seen them 1 page, 1.5 pages. There's articles of incorporation that you may want to do, and I mean, I've done them 5 pages or 10 pages if you're setting it up with a particular goal in mind. And you could set, but you file these with the Secretary of State. And after that, you'll probably get the book. You'll probably have seen a black book. Those of you that have corporations, they're not black, probably they might be green or purple, but they're you get the book, and the book really is the book that has the certificates in them. And the certificates would be the stock certificates for the corporation, or membership certificates for the limited liability company. And you would be filling this out. If you're doing it with more than one person, and I'll go into that in a second, I encourage you to use an attorney to do it. If you're not, you could probably do it yourself. Your accountant might be able to do it. And voila, you're a corporation, or now you're a limited liability company. You have to file for a tax identification number, which is a fairly simple thing. You can do it on the internet now. Your accountant sometimes can do it. We do it for companies. The only time you have a difficult time getting a tax identification number is if the person you're filing it for doesn't have a Social Security number because they're not a U.S. person, and then it gets difficult. It can be done, but it does get difficult. So now you have the entity, you're set up either as a corporation or a limited liability company. The limited liability company, the corporation has bylaws and the articles of incorporation. And really, if you're only one person, you don't really have to do anything more than that. If you have more than one person, you don't have to do anything either, except I would encourage you very much to have a shareholders agreement, because the shareholders agreement is the agreement if you have a partner that defines what your rights are. And I've had so many times where people will form one of these and they say, no, we don't want to, we just don't want to spend the money on a shareholders agreement. Jose is like a brother to me. We grew up together at Buenos Aires. He's family, and this is the worst thing. So a year from now, they'll come back and they may have a fight. And they have nothing written down. All they did was go to business, and they may be 50-50, which really makes it worse. And then they have a problem with the limited liability company. There's no